Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Mark Richer, and I'm the chairman and founder of StarLeaf. And first, obviously, I'd just like to say thank you very much to Jorg and everyone at DEKOM for inviting us here today. It's just a joy, and you know, somewhat nervous that I was to come and give this presentation. I have to say to give it against this backdrop is quite a thing. I'm going to have to try and be super interesting this morning to be more attractive than the view. You know, I have to say, before we start, that, you know, I'm not really a rounded person. You know, I can't really hear music. Art is just squiggles. I can't cook. I can't tell jokes. I think the only thing I can really do functionally with my life is technology. And I've got to tell you, I love this business. Don't tell my colleagues, okay, I would pay to do this job, okay? This is just... And, you know, the thing about technology is, one of the things that's most amazing to me is that so often we get it right. So often it's this amazing global business. You know, it's a business without boundaries, it's a business without government control or planning, and yet as a worldwide thing, people from all nations and all races work together seamlessly to produce these amazing advances, whether it's disk drives, monitors, microphones, computers, whatever. It's astonishing. And so often, you know, we get it right. But I'm sort of here now, you know, having done 3 totally, hugely successful startups. I'm here now because of occasionally it all goes wrong. And, you know, I was first paid to write software when I was 16, which is now, unfortunately, 35 years ago. And in my 35 years in high tech, never, ever have I seen a bigger gap between what the users wanted and what the users got than's existed in the video conferencing business. It's just a horror, and I tell you, it pisses me off. And, you know, in a way, I perhaps, you know, my previous company was a company called Codian, and we did traditional video conferencing infrastructure, and very successful it was. It was, you know, 2 of my companies have sold billions of dollars worth of product, and that was one of them. But, you know, the stuff is a problem. It's just difficult to use. And people pay big, big money in the hope that they're going to get something really good. And then when they take it home, it's a disappointment. So when we came to do another company, we really, really wanted to try and figure out why. Why is such a big gap between what people want and what they get? And then secondly, you know, what can we do about it? And I'm here because my feeling is that this is the most exciting point in the entire 30-year history of video conferencing. Because finally, in technology, we're going to get around to fix this. Finally, change is coming to this business. And I mean real substantial change. We've had things that looked like change but weren't. We've had the shift from SD to HD, but that really was just a shift from products that didn't work very well to high-resolution products that didn't work very well. So this time, I think we're going to have change, and this change, I think, is in 2 parts. And so you'd be glad to know I only have 2 slides. So we'll do 1 slide on one change, and then we'll do 1 slide on the other, and then we'll have done the entire history and future of video conferencing, 2 slides, 25 minutes. OK? You happy? You with me? OK. And I think that, for me, the reason this has just all been so tricky is because the problems really have been architectural. And those are always the hardest ones to fix in high tech. So you're going to forgive me here, but we're going to do diagrams. OK? The thing is that we totally know how to do massively scaled, highly usable, manageable, supportable person-to-person communication systems. We absolutely know what the architecture is because it's the architecture that the entire phone system is built on. And that is built on a hierarchical setup with smart servers and dumb clients. So you're going to figure out now, there's a quite generous looking stage here that makes me look a reasonable size. Now I'm going to go down here, you're going to find my true height. Anyway, there's basically, we're basically looking at, in all these situations, you know, server boxes up here and dumb clients. All the intelligence in the phone system is in the boxes up here, none of it in the endpoints. And it doesn't matter whether you think of that top box as a telephone exchange and this as a domestic telephone, or whether you think of that as a Siemens Office PBX, and this as a PBX telephone, or this as a mobile base station, and this is your mobile phone, all the same. All the same. So that architecture, hugely successful, fantastic, utterly great, okay? And so how on earth could this go wrong? Okay, well, there's just this unfortunate thing, and I can't explain it, but in tech, it's become this thing that the video guys don't hang out with the voice guys, and the voice guys don't hang out with the video guys. So when we got going on video about 30 years ago, okay, the video guys just didn't get the memo. And so what went horribly wrong was that instead of this diagram, okay, they sketched the first thing that came into their heads, and the first thing that came to their heads was this, which is, of course, the other way of doing it, okay? This is where you end up with a peer-to-peer network. There's no hierarchy, there's no server, there's no central control. You just get a series of blobs around the place, they're all equal, they all talk to each other. And of course, that is what these damn H323 SIP endpoints are. They're just boxes like this, each of which has all of the intelligence in it, all of the software needed to talk directly to every other video conferencing unit in the world. Okay? And, you know, the thing is, it's just really unfortunate because this is bad. Bad, bad, bad. Bad. Really bad. I mean, really appallingly bad. But the thing is, when some poor bloke sketched that 30 years ago, and the very, very first video units went out like that, the die was cast. We were down this appalling route for 30 years of this damn architecture. It's a nightmare, chaps, a nightmare. So we've suffered from this, and I could go on at some length about the many, many problems this has got. I'll just outline one to you. When you look at the phone architecture here and this video architecture, there's just one key concept about the way this phone stuff works, and my height's really going to work against me here. There, that's where the interop is done. That's where we talk to the outside world. And that's a small detail, but it's actually brilliant. Because when we want to put a new feature in the end unit here, we can. Because we put a new feature in here, we put a new feature in here, we link it together, we're good. The interface to the outside world doesn't change. It's a fantastic setup. That's how, you know, Siemens PBX phones have been able to innovate and add things like multiple lines or call forwarding or voicemail. They can do that because they do it all here, and up there it doesn't change. One of the many damn issues with this stupid, bad architecture is where the interop line is. And so all of these poor vendors, and many of my beleaguered colleagues here today, you know, you're stuck. Because that is the interop line. It's just around the edge of your box. You can't make the box do anything new. You're stuck. Because it has to work directly with all these damn other endpoints throughout the whole of history. So that's just a mess. And you know, we've struggled through it, and it's been awful. And there's been this gap between what people pay and what they get, what they want and what they delivered. And there's been pretty much nothing to do about it. And the only good news is that today, world forces have accumulated for this to be the moment for us to fix it. And it's going to get fixed because finally, we're moving on to the era where we're going to have lots of video. I mean, seriously lots of video. And when we have lots of video, clearly, the world is not going to support two parallel, completely different architectures. One of these is going to win, and one is going to lose. And it's clear as day which is going to win. It's the phone architecture for many reasons. One is it's better. Another is there's a shed load more of it, and with whatever. It's beyond doubt that the phone architecture is going to win. So this, hallelujah, this bad dead end, just one missing memo, that's all it was. One memo. This is gone. This is history. H323, bye-bye. And you can see that today. You can see, I mean, I was drawing this diagram 6 years ago when we started StarLeaf. You can see it today clear as day. This is not a StarLeaf point. Today, Cisco are telling you, if you have Call Manager, which is this box, you're putting your video on here. Microsoft are telling you, if you have Microsoft Link Server, you're putting your voice and your video on here. They're all this architecture. So, you know, to me, I have to say, I'm very happy about this, because we're going to finally sort this, and it's going to be a really good thing. We're going to actually make this damn stuff usable. So that's the first change, okay? The first change is we're going to go from the peer-to-peer video architecture to one merged, hierarchical, smart servers and dumb clients. So, at the same time as this, and it's a bit confusing because these two changes are not necessarily linked, but in fact they are, and they're happening at the same time. And that's the shift from on-premise stuff to cloud stuff. So, I'm told, my colleagues were here 2 years ago, and there was actually a debate between a StarLeaf representative and a representative from another company I won't name, where the representative of the company actually stood up here and made the case that cloud wouldn't happen, which is... But anyway, I presume that we're not doing that today, and I can assure you there are only two sorts of vendors you'll hear from today. There are those presenting cloud solutions, and those that wish they were presenting cloud solutions. So yeah, there's this whole thing, it's going to go cloud, and I have to say, to me, this was a surprise. I'm not surprised that it would happen, but that it would happen so quickly. You know, that this shift to cloud, of course, has long been absolutely secure and advanced for enterprise software. I can't believe any company today would seriously go to roll out and select a new CRM system or HR system or almost anything without seriously contemplating making the thing a cloud system. It's just almost inconceivable. You can't even almost buy just the state-of-the-art, the best software. It's all cloud software. That's just where we are. But to make this shift for real-time comms is much, much harder because basically we need a much better internet than you need to run Salesforce or some HR program. But here we are, and yeah, it's okay. Actually, the internet has made it today to a point where we can totally do real-time comms like this over the cloud. So, you know, and the diagram I want to draw you here, although it says the StarLeaf cloud there, I really want to be clear that I absolutely believe in this diagram. I absolutely believe that this is the way it's going to be, and whether it's StarLeaf or somebody else that you get your comms from over the next 5–10 years, it will look like this. Well, you know, I work for StarLeaf, so I'm going to put StarLeaf now. It's just you forgive me. So we're really now looking, as we think back to the previous thing, we're looking at then two things. We're looking at cloud, and we're looking at telephony architectures. And so actually, and this is sort of this is like a real joy for me when I actually realized this, that actually, therefore, it's astonishing how many telephony ideas are going to follow us into this new world of video cloud. And there's one bit of terminology that the telephone people use that I think is sort of helpful, and so here it is. The telephone people think of services divided into two different categories. They think of them divided into line-side services and trunk-side services. And in fact, although you may never have used those words, of course, we've all used both line-side and trunk-side. Line-side is where you have a single device attached into the cloud. So in the telephone network, that would be your domestic phone at home, or that would be your mobile phone in your pocket. That's line side. The other possibility, of course, is in your office, you have a PBX, a Siemens PBX and a Avaya PBX. And in that case, the telephones, the end units, are connected to that PBX. And then we have a different thing. We have a bundle of lines, a trunk, that's then connected off into the cloud. So both of those concepts exist in the telephone world, and as we'll see, I think they'll both have currency here. So let's start by looking at line-side services. So this really then is about connecting all the different endpoints that you have into the cloud. And as we go forward, this is the only thing you're going to have to really worry about. All you're going to do is pick your endpoints. There may be hardware endpoints, software endpoints. Maybe to ease the transition, it'll be possible to connect in legacy 323 endpoints into here and actually make them into a hierarchical structure, even with 323. So we'll have these endpoints and we'll connect them into the cloud. And then it's the cloud's job to do two main things, as it's always been the job of the telephone network to this point. And those two things are routing and transcoding. So the job of the cloud, as it's always been in the phone system, is to take your call, to direct it, look at the dial string, look at the destination address, and get it directed to the right place. And at the same time, invisibly to you, to fix up the underlying technology if you're talking, for example, from your home phone to a mobile phone, two completely different technologies at each end. All sorts of magic has to be done to transcode the mobile stuff to your home stuff. But it happens invisibly. Thankfully, the vast bulk of phone users in the world have no idea what the word transcoding means. And that will be the case in video as well. I mean, you know, I'm only showing it today because you guys are the experts. In the actual fact, your users should never know about this. It should just work, just the way it does in phone system today. So that's what the cloud will do. That's the core function of the cloud, is routing and transcoding. In addition to that, it will, of course, as we saw in the diagram earlier, it will provide interop. So, you know, if these are your endpoints down here, then it's totally a requirement that all of your users can talk to the outside world, to the random set of people, random set of stuff that people use in the outside world, Link, the PSTN, 323, whatever it is. And again, it's the cloud's job to take calls from users down here and transparently route them and transcode them to the outside world, and vice versa. So that people on the outside world, you can give them your business card, you'll have a video address, they can call it with whatever technology they've got, it'll hit the cloud will fix it up and get it down to your endpoint. That's just obvious, isn't it? Yes, that's just obvious. So the other thing the cloud does, which again is like the PSTN, is that there are services in here, okay? And the services are, you know, somewhat optional, but nevertheless, they're useful and they're bundled together. So here's a set of services. Here's a set of services that, that the StarLeaf cloud has got. So we have directories, because that's clearly a key thing. We have conferencing. But that's not a parochial thing. If you want to use some other conferencing service, then that's just fine. Just as in the telephone network, you don't have to use, if you have a Deutsche Telekom connected phone, you don't have to use Deutsche Telekom conferencing. You can use another conferencing provider. That's just the way it will be here as well. Conferencing is a choice that you will make separately. Maybe you like the StarLeaf conferencing, use it. That's great. Maybe you prefer a third-party supplier. That's great too. Firewall traversal is sadly something that the domestic phone has never had to do. I don't know, they realise how lucky they are on that one. But firewall traversal is a serious, serious issue. A bit serious in your office, but as you pack your CEO off for his weekend in a hotel in Dubai, you know, will it work in his hotel room? You know, it's a key issue. You've got no control over that damn firewall. So clearly, there's some fantastic firewall traversal has to be done. Recording and streaming, similar to conferencing, you might use it in this cloud, you might have it as a separate service. Security is something that really, overruns the whole thing. It's the idea we'll have all these links encrypted. And finally, and by no means last, centralized management. I mean, that's just a big deal. This thing, how will it work? There'll be one login to one web portal, and you will manage every single part of your company's video comms. You'll be able to configure and manage every single endpoint. You'll be able to configure and manage all these various services just from one single place. And even more than that, the damn cloud will be clever and it will help you. This appalling thing of selling you all these damn peer-to-peer boxes, what a nightmare is that? You've got a call, one of your users rings up, they say, my call wasn't so good, what are you going to do about it? Okay, fine. So you're confronted with the endpoint you made the call from, maybe some border controller, maybe a gateway, maybe an MCU, maybe another border controller, maybe another endpoint that's at the end of the call. You've got the almost impossible job of trying to search through logs on maybe 4 or 5 different boxes, trying to put them together and figure out what happened in the call. In a sensible, sane cloud setup like this, the cloud will do that. The cloud will present to you one call log, and it will have collected automatically information from every single entity in the call. And you can't even tell there are different entities. To you, it will look like what it should, one call. I don't know, I could go on for some while about central management, but I mean, it's just sort of one of those things. When you've seen it done, you're going to go, yeah, duh. So that's line side, and that's the services. But as I said, there's also going to be trunk side. And, I just have to say, I think this is really interesting. So what's going on here is that there's lots and lots of people are still going to carry on having an on-premise call controller, and it will be Cisco Call Manager, or it will be a link server, and it will sit here on your premise, and you'll have telephones off it, soft clients off it, video off it. It'll all be down here. But actually, this thing, just as always the case in the telephony world, there's still an issue for routing and transcoding. There's still an issue for getting from your call controller, from your what was a PBX, to the outside world. And so in the same way, the cloud will also present you that option. So you'll have a small appliance called an SBC. It will trunk into your call manager or your link server, take the video calls up here through the firewall into the cloud, and the cloud will then transparently route and transcode them, just the same as it does for individual endpoints. And so again, your individual users at their desks here, even though they're behind a link server or a call manager server, will all be able to be called and call directly to everybody else in the world, just transparently. And I can really claim no credit at all for this diagram, because this is the diagram which all SIP voice trunking is done today. You've got your PBX, your call manager, your link server, you've got an SBC, and you route your SIP voice stuff into the cloud. This is just the same, but with video. Of course, video being video, there's a lot more history, and the transcoding and routing is a bit more of a nightmare, but nevertheless, diagrammatically, it's just the same thing. So, the final bit of the StarLeaf picture here that I'd like to talk about is that we have these utterly gorgeous endpoints, and they are utterly fantastic. And the thing about this is if you try our endpoints and you don't like them, you should complain. You should come and tell me and say, Mark, it doesn't work right, because we can fix it, because we control this bit and we control this bit. So if there's a button missing, we can totally put the button in, and that's because of the architecture. But we got this in the zone pretty good, and people said to us, okay, but I've got a link server, how about that? And so we have now done a hardware endpoint that's through there that we can demonstrate. It's a native link endpoint that's as easy to use as our cloud ones, but connects directly into the link server. So it doesn't need the cloud, although it works happily with the cloud if you have it. It's just a native link endpoint straight into the link server, a room codec, if you like. So, just to sort of, just to finish and be clear then, I just thought I would just, you see, I do believe in this. Have you got that idea? I think this is the way it's going to be. And below StarLeaf, okay, there will be, the way it's going to be is, this is going to be cloud computing. You know, cloud computing, there's Amazon Web Services, there's Azure, there's IBM, there's what, 3 or 4 global compute clouds. 3 or 4 global clouds. That's the way it will be here, I think. There will be 3 or 4 of these global clouds, global video clouds. My job is to make StarLeaf one of those, preferably, I think, the #1. But I think this architecture is the way that we'll all be doing video over this next, 5, maybe 10-year period. It will all look like this. But nevertheless, I'm here, obviously I'm StarLeaf as well. So I just thought I'd ring for you, just to be clear, the bits you can buy from us. So we do endpoints down here. We do hardware endpoints and software endpoints. You can connect to the cloud. We do the whole cloud. You can connect other people's endpoints into the cloud too. We'll provide you an SBC to route and transcode, solve all your interrupt problems for your link server or your call manager. And also, we do an endpoint here that will connect directly to link. So that's our stuff. So, I'll just summarize. OK. OK, so what did we say? We said, OK, it's been a mess, chaps. It really has been a mess. It's been an architectural mess. But it's going to change, and we're going to fix it. And that's really cool. And the change will come in 2 parts. The change will come because we're going to fix the video architecture, and all our video from now is all going to be done in a voice architecture. That's change 1. And then the second change is that we're going to do it all in the cloud. All the infrastructure will go up in the cloud, and that, I can't tell you how cool that's going to be. So that's us. Thank you very, very much for listening to my talk here today. It really is just a joy, an absolute joy here to be here with you and share some of my love for this amazing business. Thank you very much.